the Kings waived Filip Petrusev, and I know everybody's groaning as I say that, but I think the more important thing there is, because I don't think anybody really expected Filip Petrusev to make an impact on the floor this season. He looked like more of a project more than anything, and his defense would have been a huge deficiency that probably would have never put him on the floor anyways. I guess the big thing here is that the fact that the Kings opened up a roster spot, which, we talked a few weeks back when Keon Ellis was kind of getting in the rotation. Maybe they'd want to convert his two-way contract to a standard contract. That's definitely a possibility. I don't think we can rule that out. It could maybe open up something for a trade, although not immediately. I don't imagine anybody's going to be making a trade right now. Why make a trade now when you can build up values of guys and try to get a better deal in a few months? So I guess the only other thing maybe is signing a free agent. And the only reason I bring that up is, and they have Lyles back, who obviously extends a lot of versatility to what you can do at the 5. But Alex Len is still out probably, I think, 4 to 6 weeks or something like that. And really the only true backup center, like in terms of a true center, is JaVale McGee. And JaVale McGee's been good. He's had a lot of good moments. But I don't know if reliable is the word I would use for him. I think maybe one of the things that's always followed JaVale McGee around his whole career is the fact that he can make a series of good and bad plays in like a small stretch. He can look so great at times and then dip down and just look like his awareness is in the tank, and then come back and make another great play, and it can just bounce back and forth. And I wonder if the Kings would want to bring in another center just to try out. I don't think it's necessarily a pressing issue. This is just more a thought than anything. But like, if you look at the free agency, it's obviously very slim. You're talking about either signing somebody old or somebody that hasn't been in the league for a while. But a guy, that I kind of thought about that would be kind of funny is, when was it the Kings brought in Nerlens Noel? I mean, he's available. Why not bring him back? Just to kind of, even if it's just kind of like a way to motivate JaVale McGee, which was kind of one of the complaints. Now, of course, in getting JaVale McGee, they probably had to like make it certain that he was going to make the roster. Don't make a vet that's won 3 championships go through a competition that would have made him win anyways. Why make him go through that? But, one of the things about that center competition we had been talking about with Nerlens Noel and other guys was that would bring the best out of guys, and it's that motivating factor. So it's like, even if you brought like Nerlens Noel in, I don't know, on a 10-day or something like that, just to kind of like keep that fire kind of reignited a little bit or turn it up a little bit under JaVale McGee. Now, again, I don't think you necessarily have to do that because he is a guy that's a veteran. He's been pretty good in his minutes, but in terms of not making silly mistakes like fouling a 3-point shooter with the ball in your hands, losing sight of a guy that may be running up behind you to take the ball, or, being too ambitious for the block and ending up just committing a foul, or offensive fouls, moving screens, things like that, or the speed at which he plays, which has always been a concern of Mike Brown's. He's mentioned it twice in training camp, that the one thing for JaVale is that he's got to play fast for every play.
It's going to be a little bit of an adjustment for JaVale because I don't know. You would have to ask him, but I don't know if he's played as fast as we want to play, which he's more than capable of doing. But doing it every single possession is the hard part. And
you've seen a couple times where he hasn't done that. I think against the Spurs, there was a moment where Wembanyama clearly had a step on him, and JaVale McGee never turned on the Jets to follow him up the floor. And the Spurs threw a pass up floor to the tallest guy in the league. And he got an easy dunk, but it was just that speed factor. And I think he got taken out of the game, JaVale McGee, shortly after that. It's just little things like that where it's like, JaVale still needs to kind of tighten up in terms of fitting the style of play and what he's supposed to be doing. Because in limited minutes, he brings good energy and he does good things, but he's also very mistake prone in terms of fouls, potential turnovers, and things like that. So maybe kind of pressing that issue like, hey, let's clean this up. You bring in another guy to kind of make it, again, to raise the motivation factor. It's a little far-fetched, I admit, but I don't think it would necessarily be a bad idea. And in Nerlens Noel, we don't really know what he'd bring. He didn't play a lot last season, and he's never shown that he's looked like that one season in New York where he was their backup 5 and looked extremely good. I think that was in like 2019, 2020. Mm-hmm. But still, I don't think that would be a terrible idea to kind of, again, as a motivating factor.
I mean, JaVale already kind of lost the job to Len and before Len injured himself. So I mean, who's to say that, you know, why not have another option in case JaVale loses it again or has the opportunity to lose that job? Because, you know, like you said, JaVale's not perfect. You do have Trey Lyles back to maybe fill in for that center spot if needed. Again, he seems more like a situational guy as he is a smaller guy. Yeah, you know, I think it's not a bad idea to have Nerlens there. I think it'll just help keep him accountable.
Yeah, exactly. Because I feel like, honestly, if we're really thinking about this realistically, if they brought in Noel, the chances of Noel coming in and making an impact with no training camp, not having played in months, it would be slim. But like in terms of depth, just to have another body there that's at least played in the NBA and kind of has a skill set that can suit what you want to do there, it wouldn't be a bad idea. And again, it'd be on a limited scale, like something where when Len does come back, you can let Noel go, maybe sign him to, I think you can sign a guy to a max of 2 10-day contracts. So that's only that's about 3 weeks. So it's not really taking care of the full time that Len's gone. But once Len does come back, then you still have the opportunity to give Keon Ellis a standard contract. And I'm sure someone's considered it. I'm sure it's maybe been talked about. But just an interesting thought, because it's just interesting with Filip Petrusev going. You're hardly thinking about Petrusev so much as the roster spot.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Very
Philip.
true. Sorry, Phil.